Well, thanks to Matt at Lancaster Mini in Bury St Edmonds, I'm back in this fantastic E-Mini. This is my second test drive in the E-Mini and I've got it for the entire day today. So we've got a fantastic British summer's day. The weather is absolutely gorgeous and the E-Mini is looking gorgeous too. What a perfect day to go driving on these British country roads. And yes, what are the two main things that I need to test? Range and efficiency. We need to know how far this Mini is going to go and what sort of efficiency it can get in my hands. Green wouldn't be my first choice of colour with the E-Mini, but wow, it looks stunning today.
Hi everyone, welcome back for another video. I'm back in the E-Mini. The Lancaster dealer in Bury St Edmonds have been very kind enough to let me have it for the entire day. No, not because I'm a vlogger and we've talked about this before, but because I'm actually interested in this Mini. The more I'm in it, the more I drive it, the more I really like this car. And I've just driven from Bury St Edmonds back to home, and one of the reasons for that is Susan and myself, one of the longer distance journeys we do is backwards and forwards to Newmarket or backwards and forwards to Bury St Edmonds. So to have the E-Mini and to be able to go there and back without charging would be really good. That's what I'm going to do as a video review of the car, a longer distance review. So I'll do that in the next video. But while I've got the car, I thought I would do this lap thing that I do near my home. So I've done it in the Kona, I've done it in the Ioniq 38 kilowatt hour. There's a route that's about 6.5 miles long, uphill and downhill, just a country road, very small B road. So I can go and test efficiency. Now, not like Bjorn Nyland's efficiency, because he gets onto a motorway, puts cruise control on, dials in 90 kilometers an hour, and then judges efficiency based on that. Well, not everyone's normal driving is on a motorway, so, and that also doesn't cater for the amount of efficiency that the regen systems get. If you're not starting and stopping quite a lot, not going uphill and downhill and using the regen, then you're not really gauging how efficient the car can be. So I'm not criticising how he does it. What he does is a valid test, like-for-like comparison to the other cars. What I'm doing is a like-for-like test. So driving cautiously, calmly. I'm doing 33 miles an hour at the moment. Yes, this is a 60 limit, but it's a country road. I'm not in a hurry. There's no cars in front of me. There's no cars behind me. Probably the maximum speed I'm going to do on this road today is 40 miles an hour. And then slowing down through the villages, 20 miles an hour. So with that test route, I managed to get 6.8 miles per kilowatt hour out of my Kona in slightly cooler conditions than this. This is a really hot day. The temperature outside at the moment is 33 degrees. When I tested the Kona, I think it was about 23 degrees. And the same for the Ioniq. The Ioniq was about 23 degrees as well. So Kona got about 6.8 miles per kilowatt hour, doing lots and lots of laps. Doing 3 or 4 laps, it was 6.2 to 6.4 miles per kilowatt hour, and just on the first lap I managed to get 5.8 miles per kilowatt hour. That was on the Kona Electric. On the Ioniq 38 kilowatt hour, it did much better. It got 6.6 miles per kilowatt hour on the first lap, and then on the third, fourth lap that I did, I was up to 7 miles per kilowatt hour. And without a squirt of sport mode, which I did in a test, it probably might have been 7.1, 7.2. So very efficient car, the Ioniq. So yeah, here in the Mini today, I thought I'd do exactly the same. Why not? Just before I head off to take the car back to the dealership, driving back to Bury St Edmonds again, I thought I would just do a couple of laps and see what this Mini can do. Part of my problem is though, I've just got the car home and I just put 2 kilowatt hours of solar energy in the car. I charged it on my Zappi charger. And I've got 76 miles of range left, it says, and yet I've got 50 to 60 miles to do, I think, to get back to Bury St Edmonds. So if I add in another 10-15 miles here, it's going to be tight, and I don't actually want to drive economically on the way back. I want to drive more assertively. I want to drive this Mini how some people would say perhaps it's meant to be driven, in that going calmly like I am now is lovely, the car's great, but as soon as you put your foot down and you dart around some corners, the Mini comes alive, and I'd like to do the journey back with a little bit more oomph, shall we say. So anyway, I'm going to do a couple of laps, but I've really got to watch this GOM. I don't want it to get too low, because I do need to get there without actually charging. Just charging at home, that's all I wanted to do. So far, what does it say? It says 5 miles per kilowatt hour, and that's not too bad, because we've just done the uphill bits. We've got a bit of downhill to do, so that's not looking too bad at all. Visibility in this car is great. The rear view mirror and looking at the back is so much easier. I do like the visibility in this car. So I suppose I should go through some of the other details, not just the temperature. Yes, it's 33 degrees outside. I am baking hot, sweating in the car, because I've got the windows up so that I don't get any booming on the microphone, so that the video quality is good. I haven't got the air conditioning on, because I didn't have the air conditioning on in the Kona and the Ioniq, so I want it to be like for like. Yeah, I can't wait for this bit of the test to be over, and I can put the air conditioning on and be comfortable in the car again. I haven't even got the fan on. There's no fan on in the car either, so this really is an economy drive. The mode that I have, let's have a flicking through. We're in green, and yet we have green plus, mid and sport. So we're in green mode, and I don't think we need to bother with green plus, because normally green plus just changes the air conditioning modes that you're able to use. Well, I'm quite aware if you turn the air conditioning off, then you'll get better efficiency. So how are we doing now? 5.4 miles per kilowatt hour. Right, okay, so that's going really well. Let's resist pressing the throttle. Still doing 31 miles an hour, which was about the slowest I went in the 2 test drives with the Kona and the Ioniq. A lot of the laps I was actually going faster than this in the Kona, but when I was really trying, or when the battery got really low on that test, I was going this slow. So I think it's only fair to try and make sure it's a like for like test. What am I expecting? I'm not really expecting 6. I know Bjorn Nyland says that this is really efficient and the most efficient car that he's tested, but I think it's only in that given situation. I don't think this is as efficient as my Kona, and I don't think this is as efficient as the Ioniq. It's just perhaps very efficient at 90 kilometers an hour in cruise control, but we shall see, because we're at 5.6 miles per kilowatt hour. Again, I'm resisting putting my foot down. Regen mode, I forgot to mention regen mode. I'm in low efficiency regen, so it is not as aggressive as it could be. There is a high mode as well where it does more regen more harshly, but no, I've got it in the low mode. I'm finding that with enough anticipation ahead, I can do one pedal driving on the low efficiency, so I don't really need the high. 5.9 miles per kilowatt hour. Wow, that is quite good, because we do have a nice little bit of downhill. We're going to gain 0.2 easily going down this next hill. Oh, that's okay, the miles on the GOM have gone up. Yeah, I guess they would do at this sort of efficiency. So while I'm doing this test and I've got you here on this video, I guess a lot of you are thinking, what on earth am I doing, you know, raving about this Mini, and why am I thinking of changing from the Kona Electric to the Mini? And there's nothing wrong with the Kona. The Kona's a brilliant car, but I've just got this itch to try something different and do something different and to look at the data differently. And I must confess, driving this car is an absolute pleasure. It really is a very enjoyable drive. Having talked about seats recently, the seats in this Mini aren't as comfortable as the Kona. They're very supportive and very sporty, but the back support and lumbar support are nowhere near as good, and they're not as soft either. The foam on the Kona is just really a really very comfortable seat. So being fair, even though I love this car, yeah, the seat quality is it's a bit hard. It must just be me. Okay, this is the bit of downhill that I was mentioning, and we're up to 6.4 miles per kilowatt hour. And oh dear, I am actually holding someone up behind. But then again, you know, I probably wouldn't be doing more than 40 miles an hour down there normally anyway, because we're just coming up to a 30 limit. Wow, 6.6 miles per kilowatt hour. That is the same as the Ioniq. 6.7. I take it back, I was wrong. I thought the Ioniq would still be the most efficient car on this route. But wow, 6.7. So it did actually beat the Ioniq. I can't believe that. I didn't expect to see 6. Which, see, that begs the question, doesn't it? If I've just driven from Bury St Edmonds to Norwich and got, oh yeah, spoiler alert, 5.5 miles per kilowatt hour on the journey there, on A roads, keeping up with speed and traffic, etc. It wasn't a fast journey, there was no dual carriageways, but it was A and B roads, behind a combine harvester at some times. But 5.5 miles per kilowatt hour is pretty good. Doing this test run and getting 6.6, 6.7 on a lap, that really is up there with the Kona and the Ioniq efficiency. And if this can get to 7 on the second lap, that really will mean this Mini is the king of efficiency, and I have no idea how it's doing that. But sorry, the thing I was going to say was, how can that be? Because so many people have test driven this and only said it'll do like 90 miles of range. What about all those, you know, were they just petrol heads, people that were used to driving petrol cars? Were they just thrashing the car around? Why were they getting such poor efficiency and only 90-mile range? Because if I can get mid-5s, 5.5, so 5 times 28, which is the battery size, that's 140 miles, plus half again, another 14, that's a good 150, 154 miles of range from full to empty. This car should be capable of in peak ideal conditions. And if you're doing city driving, well, as I'm seeing here, you can get way more than that. So if I was using this around city, which, you know, I might be as a Mini owner, you're probably not going to do very long distances normally in a Mini. They are bought often for commuters and shopping cars and popping around town, nipping around the country lanes. So if this can do 6 miles per kilowatt hour on a sunny day, that's 160 to 170 miles of range potential out of it. Well, that makes this really, really respectable. So yeah, a bit puzzled as to why some of the reviews I've seen so far don't really give this the time of day and sort of say 90 to 100 miles of range is all you're going to get. I wonder what the Achilles heel is. I wonder whether it's colder weather with the rain coming when you have the heater on. I wonder if there's a problem there. It's got a heat pump though, so that shouldn't be a problem. I don't know. I don't know what's causing those test drives to not give a valid result. So rather than seeing me on the test drive, I'll just flick the camera around and let you have a view of the countryside so you can see the sort of roads we're on. What I do find in this Mini is, in the Kona, I would be coasting down here in regen level 0, and the same with the Ioniq, and then hitting the brakes hard at the bottom, the regen brakes hard at the bottom, gaining as much regen as possible. But here I'm just in low regen and it's just sauntering along. You know, it doesn't feel like I'm going downhill. The car is just handling it extremely well. And there's the combine harvester doing the field, and that's why my solar panels aren't getting very good efficiency at the moment, covered in dust. One of the problems with living in Norfolk, there are a lot of agricultural things going on here in the county, so when it gets to harvesting time, you can't really expect to go very quick on some of the roads because you're nearly always following a tractor doing something. Unbelievable, this day. It's supposed to be the hottest day of the year so far, and according to this Mini, 32.5 degrees outside now. God, it must be a lot hotter than that in here. I am absolutely dripping wet. It's... God, I really don't want to measure what the temperature is in here, because it's not very good. I'll have to have a cold drink as soon as I stop. So this is the second lap. If we can get close to 7 miles per kilowatt hour, I'll stop there and not do a third. But let's see what happens. I'm sure we didn't have this high last time when we got to this point. And what did I say about tractors? Although these days, tractors will probably go faster than me. We get to draft behind the tractor. I'll try and be good on this video again and include what the European rates of efficiency are, the watt hours per 100 kilometers, but at 6.2 miles per kilometer so far, that is doing really, really well. So down on the instrument gauge, the speedometer display, whatever you call that, we've got the date, we've got the miles per kilometer efficiency reading, we've got the instantaneous efficiency reading, which goes negative when you're on regen, which I'd only just seen. So take my foot off the brake, minus 1 mile. So it's showing regen in miles per kilometers. It's showing regen in miles per kilowatt hour in a negative value, which is interesting. I haven't seen that before. So in that mode, it's fluctuating between 5, 6, 20, 40, and then negative 15 was the highest there. It's funny seeing regen in different ways. On the Kona, regen is shown in kilowatts because it's power, not distance and not capacity, it's power. And it's also showing it in the equivalent miles that you would achieve. So if you go down a hill, sometimes you'll gain back half a mile or even a mile's worth of energy. Whereas here, it's showing miles per kilowatt hour, a combination of the two. Yeah, I can't get my head around that at the moment as to whether that's good or not. Anyways, keep flicking through. So I've done 61 miles in total from the dealership so far. So that's good news because it says I've got 79 to go. So that looks like I should make it okay. Even though I do want to drive a bit more efficient, a bit more assertively. And we've got 70% battery left. Yeah, very interesting that I only added 2 kilowatt hours of energy to the car on my charger at home, and it still says 70% battery available. That's really, really good. It did only go up a couple of percent. I think it was 68% when I plugged it in.
Actually, looking back at the dash when I was charging the car, we started at 69% before I added the 2 kilowatt hours and 70 miles of range left on the GOM. So we've actually added 9 miles of range by driving it more economically on this test. And because we've added those 2 kilowatt hours of energy.
So 6.5 miles per kilowatt hour is what we've got so far as our average. 6.4, slight incline. Foot off the throttle. I don't want to lose any. What have we got? Can I get it to 7 to beat the Ioniq on the second lap? 6.7 miles per kilowatt hour. Come on. 6.9 miles per kilowatt hour.
So that's the test complete. 6.9 miles per kilowatt hour. With another lap, I think that would have got to the 7 plus, just like the Ioniq. So an incredible result. So that's all for this video. I'm now about to reset the trip meter and head off back to Bury St Edmonds to drop the car back off at the dealership. Got 74 miles of range on the GOM, but that is with some very economical driving, so this is going to be interesting. I've travelled 63.4 miles so far from when I left, and I know I've got at least 50 to 55 miles, that sort of distance, to drive back. So it's not going to be squeaky bum. I think I'm going to make it, but it does depend on what the efficiency is going to be like as I drive back. But more about the Mini and that drive back and whether I make it without charging in the next video. Thanks again for watching, and if you haven't already subscribed, go on, please subscribe. It really helps the channel, and look forward to seeing you on the next video. See you again soon. Bye for now.